This game is listed as 18 plus, but not for the usual reasons. It's because of all the upsetting violence. Is it interesting or just edgy? Let's find out. His name is Eric. Short guy with the lion tattoo? He's as tall as I am. Yeah, that's what I said. Short. Oh, come on, I'm at least average. How'd you guys meet, anyway? We share English literary analysis. Well, shit. I'll be damned. What? My little tiny is finally growing up. I was already grown up, and I told you not to call me that. Even if he grows up to be a faggot. Oh, come on, you said... I'm kidding, idiot. I don't give a fuck who you stick your dick in or who sticks their dick in you, as long as you're getting some. Thanks, Miles. You've got such a way with words. I'm the goddamn Shakespeare of our time, Tiny. Just don't tell Mom, okay? Mine or yours? Mine. You know she's gonna find out eventually, right? I know. I just want to enjoy what I have a little longer. Better prepare yourself for the shit show that fallout's gonna be. Yeah. You want the rest of my milkshake? Isn't it technically already mine if I paid for it? Just shut up and be grateful, faggot. Charming character so far. I'm proud of you, bro. It hurts. God, it hurts. Everything is silent and calm and cold. Peaceful. This must be what death is like. Then, in an instant, fire. A burning sensation that crawls across my body like a firestorm. The pulsating ache moves like a shockwave from the center of my chest throughout every nerve in my body as if punctured by 1,000 needles at once. I scream. I scream until my lungs are empty. The air is thick. The breathing in feels like inhaling water. And then I'm falling. I must have lost consciousness before I hit the ground, because when I wake up, all I feel is the gentle touch of cold water bombarding my body. Why is it raining in my room? I try shifting on the mattress in an attempt to avoid the leak that must have sprung in my ceiling. My mattress isn't usually this rough, is it? It only takes me a moment to realize I'm no longer in my room. I'm outside. I open my eyes and I'm greeted by darkness. If I'm outside, I can't see any stars. I can still feel the rain, though. The small droplets hammering down on my skin, feeling oddly soothing to my aching limbs. Perhaps I'll just lay here for a bit. My eyes drift shut again. This feels sort of pleasant. But a thought in the back of my head refuses to rest. No matter how nice the cool rain feels on my skin, I can't stay here. Where am I? My body feels heavy, heavier than usual. Reluctantly, I muster the strength to sit up, bringing a hand up to my pounding forehead. The pain is so severe that my vision blurs, and I suck in air through gritted teeth. I close my eyes and breathe in deep through my nose to combat the dizziness. Miles always said steady breathing was key to beating it. Something about not enough oxygen going to the brain. Not sure if I trust his medical advice, though, especially after that time he poured salt on a cut I'd gotten. Shit hurt more than the actual cut. I'm pulled from my reminiscing as the small, wet wood and mud floods my nose. As the smell of that, yeah. I'm in the forest. Once my eyes adjust to the darkness around me, I'm able to make out the outlines of the trees. In the dark, the leafless branches almost resemble hands reaching towards me. But there's another scent mixed with the smell of wood, and it takes me a moment to place it. Is that ash? My train of thought is suddenly interrupted by the surroundings lighting up in a bright flash, followed by the thunderous crackling of lightning just a moment after. The light gives me a better look at my surroundings, and my naked body. Except it's not my body. I let my hand fall from my forehead, and instead hold it up in front of my face, forcing my eyes to focus on it. Another flash crackles across the gloomy sky, and my stomach drops. This is not my hand. It's not even a hand. The light fades just as quickly as it appeared, and I'm left staring out at the outline of my limb in the darkness. I take it that we were human, and then we got isekai'd into a death game furry? That's a sentence I just said. Okay. What is this? What's happening? I try standing up, but my legs give out almost immediately. A shockwave of pain shoots through my knees as they hit the ground. A yelp escapes my throat. I just want to go home. If I focus hard enough, I can almost feel the cheap mattress against my back. The blanket that's always too small for two people. And him. My eyes open back up, and another flash arches across the sky. But this time I wish it hadn't. Out of the corner of my eye, I see something move beyond the trees. My head jerks in its direction, and I hold my breath. The snapping of a twig not too far away forces my gaze to the left. The chilling feeling that I was alone in these woods suddenly feels desirable to the newfound alternative. Hello? My voice comes out hoarse and rough, like I'd been punched in my throat. I swallow a few times and try again. Hello? Nothing but silence. Or at least nothing that I can distinguish from the noise of the sky pouring down around me. Perhaps it was just some animal, just as scared of me as I am of it. Yeah, that's probably the case. But then again, I have no idea where I am, or what could be out there. What if it's a bear, or a pack of wolves? I can't stay here. I begin crawling on my hands and knees, gripping at the wet dirt and roots, forcing myself forward across the forest floor. The muddy surface feels slick between my fingers as I struggle for grip. Suddenly the ground gives out beneath me. I yelp as I lose balance and begin tumbling down the hillside. I roll down the rough, slippery ground and practically feel each and every sharp rock and blunt root beneath me, beating my body into even more pain. Finally, I come to a stop at the ground as the ground levels back out, and I land face first in a deep puddle. For a moment I contemplate simply staying there, face down in the cool water. After all, following that torturous fall, laying here and feeling the rainfall collect around my submerged face feels rather peaceful. The only sound audible being the gentle tapping of the rain on my newly discovered safety pedal. Plus, being underwater has always felt peaceful. To me, it always felt like leaving the world behind and entering a new one. One where I could leave my worries and just forget everything for as long as I could hold my breath. My parents had taken me to a water park, and I had run off on my own. Dad and stepmom had retreated to the hot tubs while I went off exploring the water slides. One of the pools had a waterfall, and somehow I ended up under it. The pressure of the pouring water made it impossible for me to get away. I was stuck. At first I struggled, panic forcing my survival instincts to kick in. My mind racing and simultaneously stopping. That little voice in the back of my head, screaming at me to do something. Get up. Get up. When that was unsuccessful, even my most primal instincts gave up. I was alone, and I had come to the conclusion that this was it. I was out of oxygen, and yet it was peaceful. The fear and panic had subsided, and I had come to terms with reality. I didn't want to die, yet letting go of everything and giving myself to fate was oddly comforting in a strange way. Of course, I survived. I was told later that once I had stopped struggling, I'd been pushed out of the way and floated back to the surface. It was the first time I got to ride in the back of an ambulance. There was a nice man there with a ponytail, so long it could have been a mane. He held my hand the entire way to the hospital. The only thing I remember him saying was, "It's okay. I'm here." Ever since, I've always found the embrace of the water comforting, like being held tight and feeling safe in someone's arms. Most people would probably find the experience traumatic and grow scared of it. For me, it was the opposite. It was a peaceful place in an otherwise chaotic world. The burning sensation in my lungs reminded me that it's time to leave this place behind and return to the present. It also makes me realize I'm not dreaming. I put my hands on either side of my head and push myself out of the puddle. I stopped for a moment to listen, looking around for any trace of whatever had made me run in the first place. After a couple seconds, I sigh. I'm alone. I pull my legs in under me, breathing deep and looking down at the puddle. Another flash of lightning illuminates the forest, and the dark water, which had previously resembled a puddle of ink, transforms to show my own reflection. He's a raccoon. No. No, this can't be real. I must be going insane. Right? What am I? I lift one of my hands out of the puddle to explore my newfound appearance. No, not hand. Clawed, fur-covered paw. Let's be honest, furries have hands. At least when they're drawn like this, they're just hands. I roll my fingers and turn it over, examining it. Skin-like pads cover the palm and tips of my fingers where stubby claws protrude. Are pads not skin? I think they're skin. Instinctively, my paw drifts to my face, feeling out my nose. I have whiskers. My paw moves upwards, over my scalp, discovering my ears on top of my head. I circle the outside of my right ear, gently folding it and feeling its springiness. The fur atop my head seems longer than the rest. Continuing my exploration of my new body, I put my hand on my chest. Despite the thick coat of fur plastered on my torso, I feel my heart beating deep within my ribcage. I'm not dead. I try sitting back, to explore my lower body, but end up sitting on something long and slick, which for some reason sends a jolt of pain up my spine. It's his tail. I instinctively reach behind and grab onto something soft and soggy. Tail. I have a tail. This has to be a dream. Some strange sort of lucid dream I can't break free from. Even if everything feels so real. In an attempt to wake myself from this strange fantasy, I cup my hands and splash my face with the rainwater from the puddle. I take a deep breath and slowly open my eyes once more. I'm still here. This is real. If this is real, then I need to get home. I'm pulled from my thoughts when the puddle in front of me illuminates with a soft blue light. It's rhythmic, like two quick pulses, before it falls back into the blackness before repeating. I look up and I realize that the puddle's only reflecting the effect. The pulsing blue light seems to be coming from somewhere deeper in the forest. I make another attempt to stand, this one much more successful than the last. It still hurts, but after a second of wobbling I find my balance. Slowly I begin making my way towards that light. I stumble over roots and branches, my eyes set on the flashing in the distance. A fallen tree blocking my path gives me trouble, but after some struggle I force myself over it. I start noticing the ground becomes easier to traverse, and the trees around me growing more lush the further I walk. This part of the forest seems healthier than where I woke up. Bushes start cropping up in my path, and I can feel the wet grass underneath my feet. Having overcome the initial pain of walking upright, I pick up the pace. I think I hear sirens. The light isn't far away now. It almost looks like it's closer. But then, it stops, and the world grows dark and quiet once more. I turn and look around, but the blue hue is gone. The thick blackness only lasts for a second, though, as a sharp white beam of light appears not too far away, accompanied by a set of footsteps. What could go wrong? Let's make the horrible mistake of calling attention to ourselves. Hey! I cry out, waving my arms above my head to get their attention. I think that I think that we were in some kind of ritual, because there was the fire, I guess. So it sounded like we were almost like we were burned at the stake or something, and then reincarnated like this. Stumbling through some low vegetation, I make my way towards the light. I need help. I don't know where The light swivels in my direction, and I stop like a deer in the headlights. Or a raccoon in the headlights. My arm instinctively flies up to cover my eyes. I accidentally press the joystick a little bit and hit a menu. I stay like that for a few seconds, awaiting a response. But it doesn't come. Instead, they step forward, towards me, the light growing larger and more intense. I try taking a step back, but my foot lands on something soft, and whatever it is, pulls me back towards the ground. It only takes me a second to realize I've tripped over my own damn tail. I yelp and try scrambling backwards, but the light makes me freeze again as I come face to face with it. They shout something, but I don't register what. All I can do is stare back at the intense ray as my retinas burn. They shout again, and this time I hear it. It's a rough, old, nasally male voice that strains from the volume which he shouts. Who the fuck are you? With shaky breath, I stutter out a response. I'm sorry, I just want to go home. My ears ring and my head feels heavy, like it's full of liquid. The light seems to lessen in intensity. Then everything goes quiet. What happened to your eye? I tripped. Again? Yeah. You can't be serious. I'm getting you one of those anti-slip shower rugs for Christmas, you know? Think you can manage to not give yourself a black eye till then? Or am I gonna have to make up an excuse to get you a present before that? It was an accident. I promise I'll be more careful, okay? You better. You really are the clumsiest motherfucker around, aren't you? We've known each other for how long? I've always been the bumbling idiot of the group. I don't know, man. Seems like you've gotten clumsier over the past year. If you're part of some secret underground fighting ring and not telling me, you're not going to be able to sit straight for a week. Don't threaten me with a good time, Miles. Faggot. Anyway, want to head into town and get some burgers? I've seriously been craving those jalapeno fries. If we take the drive-thru and eat in the car, sure. But you're paying. You still owe me from last time. Yeah, just get your ass in the car, Tiny. I'm not a kid anymore. You'll always be a little shit to me, bro. The question is whether the flashbacks like that are going to catch up with the start of the game and set up how we ended up here. Not gonna lie, when the music started playing after everything went dark, I thought, oh, we died. Time to hit the start game button again and skip button. My head throbs with a sharp pain, each throb synchronized with my heartbeat. My forehead feels like it's been split open. The musty smell in the air makes me think of an attic, or the basement in my apartment complex. It was less than a week ago I'd been down there to put my favorite beach ball away for the year. Everyone complains that the storage units are way too small, but I guess I just don't own enough stuff to fill it like my neighbors. Less than a week ago. What happened? I was at home. I remember an argument. I remember running. And then... No. A forest. I was in a forest. Come on, think. Hello? I opened my eyes to the dim light of the room I found myself in, and looked down at my hands. Pause. I'm still here. In this new, strange body, caked in mud. I'm sitting alone in a murky room, up against something cold and uncomfortable. Another sharp throb at the front of my skull makes me shiver, and I put my paw up to it. It feels warm, and when I pull it back down, it comes away red and sticky. I force myself to sit up a little more, looking around the room. Above me, I see the source of the light, a single light bulb hanging from a string illuminating the dirty beige walls. The wallpaper looks like it's peeling, revealing concrete behind it. The only window is a small one, situated above me, close to the ceiling. I can still hear the faint sound of rain outside, and it looks like it's nighttime. On the opposite side of the room, a door stands creaked open, allowing some light to seep in through the thin crack. It's too small to see what's on the other side, though. The floor feels sticky under my legs, and as I look down, I count several large dried spots where someone must have spilled some sort of brown liquid. Then it's another smell. That's when another smell invades my nose. One that I don't associate with the apartment complex's basement. A sweet, rotten irony smell that makes me feel nauseous. Irony, not irony. It's emphasis on the wrong syllable. I lift my arm to cover my nose and mouth as my brain puts together what the dried spots must be. But as I jerk my paw up, the sound of metal clinking against metal echoes through the room. I get on my knees and turn around to see where the sound is coming from, only to freeze in the spot as I can see what caused it. I've been leaning against an old, rusted pipe, connected to a similarly old and rusted boiler in the corner of the room. But it's what's attached to it that sends a chill down my spine. A chain, about 1 meter long, fastened with a thick padlock around the base of it. The other end attached to me. My paws shoot up to my neck and grip onto the rigid collar that's been placed around it. No, 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 no. I mutter quietly under my breath as I paw at the worn leather, finding what feels like an identical padlock fastened in its place. I desperately grab hold of the chain and tug uselessly at it. The noise it makes echoes louder and bounces off the walls in the empty room. The room suddenly lights up, but this time there's no rumbling of thunder following, only an audible click. Morning, sweetheart. Sweetheart? My blood runs cold, and my struggling stops as someone speaks up in a sing-songy tone behind me. The voice sounds familiar, and more memories of the forest slowly seep back into the front of my mind. The footsteps. The flashlight. My fucking tail. I sit frozen in place, not daring to turn around, holding my breath. Dread starts seeping in and clouding my thoughts. Took you long enough. Didn't think I hit you that bad. Looking for this? I swallow hard and let out a shaky breath. Ain't see you around here before. You new? I don't know where I am, or how I ended up here to begin with. I just want to go home. Silent type, eh? Didn't seem like it back there in the woods. But then again, you're all pretty quiet at the start. He strolls into the room, approaching me. His shadow grows larger until it covers me entirely. But don't worry. That'll change. He's close enough that I can hear him breathe, and the stench of cheap tobacco fills the room. But underneath the odor of cigarette smoke, he carries a faint smell of chemicals. Chlorine. I feel one of his hands grip my shoulder, and every muscle in my body tenses up. Don't touch me. I mutter through gritted teeth, barely audible, feeling his fingers dig into my shoulder. He either seems to not have heard me, or he doesn't care. What's your name, anyway? You don't get to know my name. Andy. Andy, huh? Don't look much like an Andy to me. Then again, you ain't from around here. You could be anybody. What difference does it make? Oh, it makes all the difference in the world, he exclaims, his voice rising in volume. I want to get to know you, honey. I bet you we can make the best of friends, you and I. I can practically hear him smile as he says it. So, where are you from, Andy? Again, you don't get to know that. I'm guessing it won't matter soon anyway. Red Creek. Never heard of Red Creek before. Must have come far to get here then. I don't answer. His fingers start massaging my shoulder. If anything, it has the opposite of the intended effect. So, what were you doing all by yourself out there in the woods, Andy from Red Creek. Strolling around in nothing but your birthday suit. Didn't your mom ever tell you it's dangerous in the woods at night? He says it more like a statement than a question, so I don't bother answering this time either. He lifts his hand and pats my shoulder hard, like he'd pet a horse. I feel the aches from earlier flaring back up from the rough treatment. You were practically begging for someone to come eat you, huh? I hear what I presume is him taking a drag from his cigarette before continuing. Or maybe you were out there for something else. His hand drifts lower down over my chest. I keep my gaze focused straight ahead, shivering, but trying not to show it. Oh, I'm not judging you or anything. I know it can be real tough scratching that itch, especially when that itch is so difficult to reach. Don't move. Don't show him you're scared. Don't show him anything. Why don't we help each other out, huh? I scratch your back, you scratch mine. Sounds like a fair deal to me, no? I swallow hard as his fingers sift through the muddy fur on my chest. Fellas like us need to stick together, you know. That statement catches my attention. The words leave my mouth before I have time to stop myself. Fellows like us. You ever seen a straight shooting fellow run around the woods butt naked at night before? I've never seen anyone run around the woods nude before. He shakes his head. Nuh-uh. That, my friends, that there is a sign of desperation. He chuckles. If it's so dangerous, what were you doing in the forest? The question seems to catch him off guard. He stops and stays silent for a moment before speaking up in a more straightforward tone than previously. Was down at the old factory, taking care of some business. Just making my way back when I stumbled across a helpless little pup lost in the woods. What's in the factory? I asked without even thinking it over. In hindsight, I probably didn't want to know. Well, I can't just tell you now, can I? That'd ruin the surprise. I'll take you there soon. Just gotta get you all dressed up and nice looking first. I imagine the surprise isn't going to be a party. At least not the kind any rational human being would want to go to. Then again, I guess I'm no longer strictly human, am I? I don't think that's really a counterpoint to that. Now. He sighs and takes a step to the side, standing directly behind me. Turn around. No. He huffs. Andy, I have been nothing but kind to you so far. I've been polite, asked your name, where you're from, even put up with your bullshit answers. They're not Oh, come on now, Andy. There is no Red Creek. So be a good boy and turn around. This is all too familiar. I said, turn around. His voice strains on the last word as it ricochets across the room. I have never seen that spelled that way before. That is a wild spelling. With a grunt, he grabs the collar around my neck and yanks hard, forcing me down on my back, painfully crushing my tail. I let out an uncomfortable choking sound as my windpipe momentarily compresses, cutting off my breathing and causing me to cough a few times as I hit the ground. The man leans down over me, placing his hands on his knees and tilting his head as he looks me over. Despite the situation, the awkward feeling of someone looking at your exposed body creeps in, and I look off to the side. My paws move to cover my crotch. His hand reaches down and grabs a handful of the tuft of fur on top of my head, twists it, forcing me to look back up at him. Oh! He seems friendly. You're one pretty raccoon, you. The way he's standing over me blocks out the light from the bulb, casting his features in shadow. But he's not human. His silhouette resembles some form of rodent. Two large, oval ears, a long snout, and a toothy grin. Two big, orange eyes stare back at me. He's wearing a stained, white, button-up shirt. At least I believe white was its original color. It's worn and has an almost yellow tinge. He's skinny, but he has a bit of a gut poking out beneath his shirt. An old Polaroid camera hangs from his neck. His grip on my hair loosens, and he begins gently stroking my forehead. Between the fingers on his other paw, and the one supporting him against his knee, is a half-smoked cigarette. The embers at the tip of it glow in a low, orange hue, and a trail of smoke rises from it. Now, was that so difficult, Andy from Red Creek? He lifts the cigarette to his lips and inhales, making the embers spark and forcing some ash to gently snow down over me. The glow of the cigarette illuminates part of his face, and I see his fur is gray and scuffy. He exhales through his nose, enveloping me in the harsh cloud, making me cough. He stands up straight and flicks the cigarette off to the side. Then he lifts the camera up to his eye. Another flash momentarily blinds me as he presses the button. An audible click, followed by a whirring of the photo being pushed out, fills the room. He takes it in one paw, waving it back and forth, while his other paw reaches into his back pocket and pulls out a pair of tongs. He flips them around in his hand, looking down at me with a scrunched-up face, as if contemplating something. Then, he turns on his heels and disappears out of sight. I take the opportunity to sit up, grabbing hold of the chain and pulling with everything I have. I press my feet against the wall and put my entire body into it. The pipe strains and almost whines back at me, but it doesn't budge. I grab the padlock instead, turning it over in my paws before tugging at it with the same force as the chain. Nothing. I pant and slam my fists against the pipe itself, but when my paws start aching, I give up. I'm trapped. Before I know it, my captor returns and slams something hard against my right wrist. It then grows tight, cutting off blood to my paw. It hurts, but I don't have much time to think about that. Before I can react, he fastens another handcuff through the loop with the lock. My other paw immediately grasps at it, but he grabs my wrist. He's done this before. No. Now. Just take it easy. It's not so bad, darling. He gets down on one knee with a sigh and holds my wrist tight in his left paw, his other grasping the tongs. The camera's gone. I know this might sting a little, but it's a necessary measure, all right? The tongs grip onto the claw on my ring finger. A wave of cold sweat washes over me, and I pull my paw back. Yeah, this is gonna be torture. I'm strong, but he's stronger. You want to show up to the party looking nice, don't you? Don't worry, honey. I'll make it quick. He tightens his grip around the tongs and starts pulling. My eyes shoot open, and I scream. I feel the tissue around my claw begin to tear, followed by the roots of it slowly snapping one by one. Blood starts dripping from the tip of my finger. I flail wildly in my restraints, feeling the tears stream freely down my face. I shut my eyes tight and grit my teeth. Sit still, or I might botch it. It's the most painful thing I've ever had to endure. It feels like my entire finger is going to rip off. I begin hyperventilating and shout at the top of my lungs, my voice breaking with the excess tears running down the back of my throat. Please, please stop. Stop. I just want to go home. He ignores my pleading, and after a few seconds of agonizing pain, my claw comes loose with a horrifying snap as the last nerves holding it in place tear. 1. Please, stop. Before I can finish, he strikes me across the muzzle with the tongs, leaving a searing pain in my cheek. The taste of iron coats my tongue. I close my eyes and sob, the fur on my cheeks matting down from the stream of tears running down my face, landing on my chest. I feel the tongs grip tight around the claw on my little finger. All I can do is scream as he pulls. Bro, what the fuck are you doing? What? It's literally the middle of summer and you're wearing that? What's wrong with my outfit? Ain't it a bit warm? I mean, most people would wear, like, a t-shirt, you know? Since when did you become the fashion police? Alright, I get it. Anyway, look what I found. My beach ball? How did you... Found it while I was cleaning out your dad's... Our dad's basement. I know it used to be your favorite. I don't know what to say, Miles. Thank you. Oh, don't start crying on me now. I love you, Miles. Whoa, yeah, love you too, Tiny. Looks like those sleeves will come in handy after all. Wipe your eyes before someone sees and thinks you're a fag. But I am. That's enough hugging, bro. Wanna head down to the basement and try it out? I don't know why I said basement. Wanna head down to the beach and try it out? Maybe some other day. Ice cream it is then. Don't worry. It's on me this time. But if you let it melt, it'll be on you. Ba-da psh. He's such an innocent little cinnamon roll protagonist. It's all I have a favorite beach ball. A normal emotion people have. This is just straight up torture, yep. Alright. 2. My chest heaves as I sob through closed eyes. No. I can't take this. I won't take this. Not anymore. Just 8 more to go. Then we get started on those teeth of yours. He chuckles and tosses the claw to the side. His head turns to see where it lands. The insane pain and despair I've been feeling slowly begins boiling deep within my chest. Pain turning to anger, anger to adrenaline, adrenaline to action. Each throbbing wave of pain emanating from my fingertips adding fuel to the fire. This is it. This is my chance. No more. I lift my leg and put all of my power into the kick. It connects just below his ribs. He folds forward, wheezing as he desperately gasps for breath. He momentarily loses grip of my wrist, and I take the opportunity without a second thought. With my bleeding paw, I grab hold of the cable chaining me to the pipe and throw it over his chest. Then I haul, patting us both backwards against the wall, lifting the chain to wrap around his neck, and throwing my legs up around his midsection. His paw shoots up towards his throat, dropping the tongs on the ground with a loud clang. He sits with his back against my chest, kicking his legs wildly. I pull on the chain with all my strength I can muster from my aching arm. I don't hesitate. For a few moments, the only noise filling the room is the sound of my captor choking for air, me snarling like a rabid beast, and the soft rainfall outside the window. Oh, someone's watching. You can see someone in the doorway. Oh, that's creepy. My vision pulses, and for a moment, in my rage, I think I see someone standing on the other side of the half-creaked door, as if witnessing, judging. But I don't have time to think about it further. It only takes a few moments until he stops struggling, and his body goes limp. Still riding high on a rage, I pull the chain one last time, before letting go and digging my free paw into his pockets in search of those fucking keys. My injured fingertips scrape against the inside of his worn jeans and I yelp, but I grit my teeth and bear it. I search both his front pockets, but come up empty-handed. I push on his back, making his limp body roll over on his stomach, over my leg. I dig my hand through his back pockets. He's gotta have them on him. He had them earlier. But they're empty. The last fumes of rage dissipate, and realization washes over me like an ice bath. He doesn't have the keys, and I just killed the only person who can fetch them. What have I done? No, fuck! I scream, feeling a fresh set of tears forming in my eyes. I jerk my handcuffed paw hard, feeling the metal dig into my wrist. Fuck you! I lift my free leg and kick at the corpse, trapping my leg. It rolls off, just out of reach, settling on its back. His head tilts in my direction. In the gloomy light of the bulb, I see his eyes. His big, orange eyes, the white stained red. They look empty, less saturated, soulless. And they stare back. The room suddenly flashes with a bright light before going completely dark, and so does the adjacent room. The rumbling of thunder practically shakes the ground beneath me. I'm alone, in a dark basement, chained to a pipe, coated in blood and mud. The only sounds, the pouring rain, and my sobbing. My only company, the unmoving corpse of the man whose life I just took. You never told me your name. Even through the shroud of blackness, I feel his empty eyes judging me. God, what have I done? I need help. Help! Somebody, I need help. Miles? Miles? Dad? You think he's doing alright? I don't know. We haven't seen him in a week now. They said they'd take good care of him, though. Did you really sit there and ask what the date was? Did you really ask there and ask what the date was over and over for 5 hours straight? The nurse told me it might help. Jog his memory or whatever. Did it? Not really. He knew it was spring. Sometimes he'd remember the month. Didn't seem to recognize me, though. And no one knows what happened. No one was there to see it, and he can't remember. Fucking hell. I'm sure it'll come back to him eventually. How's things with Eric? They're fine. 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 Alright. Been seeing you around less lately. Gotta make sure someone's looking out for your clumsy ass. But I get it, you've been busy with school and all. I haven't been that busy. Then why haven't you called? Eric told me that you were busy. I haven't talked to Eric in 4 months. Eric was socially isolating him. That seems like a bad sign. Seems like Eric might be responsible for this. I don't know how long I've sat there. No matter how much I want to cry, I ran out of tears a while ago. I'm tired. So tired. I just want to go home. I slowly opened my eyes back up, the darkness seeming a little less oppressive than before. Leaning my head back, I rested against the wall and refocused on the little window above me. To imagine freedom being so close. I can almost reach it. If I could just... Something pulls me from my longing. Footsteps right above me. They're slow, deliberate, as if whoever's there is taking great care to watch where they set their feet. Little specks of dust fall from the wooden ceiling where they step. Better hope that they don't like that guy. I feel my body trying to muster up the appropriate response. Fear. Joy. Concern. Guilt. But I'm too exhausted and retired to just listen. The footsteps seem to grow more distant before the squealing or rusty hinges catches my attention once more. A ray of light illuminates part of the adjacent room, and I hear a wooden staircase creak under the weight of whoever's descending them. The flashlight seems to scan the other room, rays of light seeping through the crack of the door in front of me. Then, the rays become a steady beam as the light falls on the door. The footsteps approach slowly, and the door opens fully. The beam searches the room before settling on the body, laying a short distance away from me. Then, it turns on me. For the second time tonight, I'm blinded by a flashlight. Then I raise my left paw over my eyes to shield them. Well, he's huge. Oh, God. A tall man, clad in a dark raincoat, walks over to me. He's wearing fingerless gloves over his hands. No. Paws. He's not human either. I can't make out his species, though, because he's wearing some sort of mask covering his face. He sets down what looks like a rifle on the floor next to him, and holds up the large padlock hanging from the pipe in his paws. I open my mouth to speak, but the only thing that I manage is a weak whine. I cough and clear my throat, trying again. Are you here to rescue me? The words are barely audible over the clinking of metal as the man fiddles with the lock, coming out like a whisper. He turns to me, and behind the mask I see a set of deep green eyes look back down. Yes. There was briefly a mask on us too, and it was purple like our eyes, so they color coordinate with their eyes. We would cordially like to invite you to attend a masquerade ball in the woods. Chapter 1. Proof of survival. You know, stylized chapter sequences and title sequences, those are extremely rare in furry visual novels. I'll give them that. Well, good news. Maybe. Maybe. You know what? I'll let you guys believe in that good news if you so choose to believe. And if you don't believe, then, well, if you want to know what comes next, you can play the game yourself. Check it out, link in the description. If you are an adult, this sounds like it's extremely rated R. It looks like it seems like it goes well beyond like The Purge and is more like Saw. So this is probably an upsetting, graphic, and violent game. See you guys next time.